Hello, chart watchers and DecisionPoint faithful. Welcome to this Monday, February 8th, 2021 DecisionPoint show. I'm here, Erin Swenlin, with my father, Carl Swenlin, and we are going to try and prepare you for the week ahead and look at the charts that are really interesting us right now. How is everything going, Dad?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good? That's always good to hear. All right, well, let's look at what we're going to cover today. Lots on the agenda. Of course, we'll do our regular SPY overview as well as the big four, which would be dollar, gold, oil, and bonds. Carl's going to talk a little bit about the Ark Funds. We're noticing some really great movement there. It's a very strong group of funds, and he's going to talk a little bit about those. I want to give you an update on natural gas. We covered that last week, and it's still looking pretty good right now. So I want to talk about that chart. Materials, I wrote about materials in Chart Watchers this last weekend as a sector to watch going into this week. I still think it looks pretty good and healthy on the inside, but we're going to look under the hood at the materials sector, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. And then we'll finish, of course, with the diamond of the week. So let's go ahead and get it started. The signal scoreboard right now, this is in the past week. We ended up with 3 new PMO buy signals. In fact, the S&P 500 one just came in today. Likely, these are coming in a little bit on the late side. The Dow Industrials never got a buy signal. These have already flipped twice, and the Dow has really just kept that sell signal going. It's very close to a crossover buy signal, but like I said, I don't know about you, Dad, but I suspect these are coming in just a little bit late.
Yeah.
Let's see, sector scoreboard, not a lot of changes here. Everything on a buy. Consumer staples right now is on a neutral signal. That means that the 20-day EMA is below the 50-day EMA, while the 50-day EMA is above the 200-day EMA. So we go to a neutral, which is a position of cash or fully hedged. Basically, it's a soft sell, if you will. But we don't have a bearish enough chart with the 50 below the 200 to make it a full-fledged sell signal. So that's why it's listed as a neutral. All right, we got a lot of charts to look at. Did you want to take the screen to talk about the SPY?
Yeah, okay, I can do that. My screen pixelates, and it's not filling up the screen either, is it?
No. There we go.
Okay, on the SPY, we've got new all-time highs again today. It's been, I think, looks like 3 days in a row that new all-time highs. Volume is shrinking on the SPY and somewhat on the S&P total volume, but it's not so skinny that I'd be concerned about it. You notice the VIX is pretty much high in the range shown, but it's still not as high up, and this is a reverse scale. So it's, on a regular scale, it's low on it, and it would be, and last week, let's see, I shouldn't say that. You see here, it's much higher up, much more relaxed. People are much more relaxed than they were here.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the VIX is it kind of hit that overbought, near-term overbought area, and it is starting to make that turn, which is concerning for me.
Gold rallied after a pretty bad week last week, but I'm still not getting any sense of what this is wanting to do. The dollar falling off, which accounts for some of the rally on gold. Oil is doing really well. Maybe later we'll look at the energy sector. It was up about 4% today. And back to U.S. So, I really think, considering that the administration is so negative on fossil fuels, it can only shrink the supply, which was some said price higher. T-bills, or I'm sorry, T-bonds, finding a little bit of support today, but I'm afraid they're going to go lower.
Yeah, the yields just keep rising, and that's certainly putting some downside pressure.
Right. I wanted to cover Bitcoin. There's some news on that. Let's see. Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So, and Elon Musk is talking up cryptos big time. There's another one. It's DOGE coin. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Dogecoin, Dogecoin. But, I sent that up to StockCharts today and suggested they put that on the
crypto list.
Yes, the crypto list. And I wanted to cover, wait a minute, let me finish up on Bitcoin. Is it going to go higher? It looks like it. And I've started a new parabolic on it. And I just, there's, with Elon Musk behind the cryptos, they're probably going a lot higher.
Kind of reminds me of the Warren Buffett effect, right?
Yes. Now, I don't think GameStop is going to, benefit at all from that type of thing. GameStop, I think, is finished. It's as good as it went as high as it's going to go, and I think it's slowly bleeding off. First of all, a lot of people that bought it lost a lot of money. The guy, I can't think of his first name, is Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. Lost a lot of money on it. He lost, I think, $700,000 or $800,000. Lost. He was one of the guys who was publicizing it, and unbelievable. But
and then he didn't get out in time.
Right. This reminds me of Snapple from many years ago, because it went from very low to very high. It was more of a rounded top, and it went right back down to where it started. And if there's nothing here to keep this stock, to keep it up. I mean, yes, they could go do a gang crowd, flash crowd, what they call, on it again. But I don't think a lot of that crowd is still alive financially.
Right. I think, there were a lot of people who did really well on that, but a lot of people who got out way too late or got in way too late.
I sent you, Aaron, I sent you a folder full of Ark Funds. Ark Funds were brought to my attention a week or two ago. Kathy Woods, who runs the fund group, was the highest performing fund manager for 2020. So I thought I'd take a closer look at those stocks, those funds. And one of the things that really helped after I did some digging is that 10% of ARKK was Tesla. So ARKK, I've written down here, it was up 367% from the March low last year. Tesla was up 1,138% from that low. So you can see that have a lot on the performance of those funds. Not to take away, it was a good pick on her part, just just if Tesla had done the opposite, the funds would definitely not have done that well. If I'm not pixelating, let me try one thing here.
Yeah.
This is the way I get to camel guidance.
Oh, okay.
Go through edit. I haven't figured out the right way to do it, I guess. But here's a look at all those funds in that group. We've got ARKF, which is financial fintech innovations. ARKG, which is genome. ARKK we covered. ARKQ is, I have to look that up. Autonomous technology. Yes. That probably has some Tesla in it. And Web Innovations is ARKW. IZRL is ARK Israel Innovations. And then PRNT is ARK 3D Printing. So some interesting stocks there. And you see they really had a good day today, all of them.
Absolutely. Full disclosure, I do own ARKG, so I'm definitely happy to see that move today.
Okay. Oh, and one thing I wanted to cover, I should have covered on GameStop, but just in case anybody missed it, selling short, the best you can do is make 100% on your money. And the worst you could do is kind of infinite, which, they found out, the short sellers of GameStop found out. And, so I've never been a fan of short selling for that reason. It's just limited upside and infinite downside. And I'll let you take it back if you like.
Oh, absolutely. Since you were talking about those ARK funds, I do want to mention that if you want to get to those, to find out some of the holdings that they have, if you go to Yahoo Finance and you type it in, so we'll say ARKK, we talked a lot about that one. And you come in and look at that, you can actually come in and look at the holdings, their top 10 holdings. And that'll give you a pretty quick look at, what they've been, what that particular, I don't see anything in here. That's not very helpful, but generally you can come into these and then you can click on holdings and it will tell you the holdings that that fund or ETF is doing. Well, that was a great example, wasn't it?
Yeah, how about that?
All right, so let's go ahead and look at, this is of course our website. We welcome anybody to come check us out at DecisionPoint.com. You can sign up here for our free trading room. I did that this morning. It was a great fun. And you can also sign up for our free newsletter there. So be sure and check that out. I always leave the tab open so I don't forget. All right, so I wanted to look at natural gas was one that I was gonna look at because we talk a lot about it. Hang on, I gotta fix my screen here. There we go. Make that better. And, honestly, you and I have been looking at this. Diamond subscribers have been looking at this. This has been set up for a really nice run. Natural gas we've gotten fooled a few times. It looked like we had the double bottom. Then we ended up with a reverse head and shoulders, which is in the process of executing. We have the 20 just about ready to cross over the 50. I still like natural gas. I still think we're going to see some upside. You can see with the PMO, it hit positive territory. It's definitely not oversold or overbought. And then you can see the RSI, we're finally getting into positive territory here. So I really like natural gas right now. And this is the double ETF, not that I would recommend necessarily getting into these ultras, but you can see it's the same sort of bottoming pattern, rounded bottom, reverse head and shoulders setting up, and the breakout holding above the 50-day EMA. So I think that the natural gas sector, you were talking about USO and, the that fossil fuels are falling out of favor right now, and natural gas, is a product of fracking, and that's getting cracked down on. So really, the setup is so nice right now for UNG to actually do something good.
I'm not a fan of
Oil?
No, leveraged funds.
Yes, me either.
The energy sector, I think, is going to do really well here for a few years. But I figure UNG has pretty much leveraged itself the way it moves pretty well. And it's like, would you buy silver? Or would you buy a leveraged fund?
Right.
2 times fund of silver. I mean, silver moves pretty well as it does, and it's the more volatile it is, the just cranks up your chances of making more. But if there's the opposite of that is to lose more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I tend to not go that direction, but I did put it in diamonds. So I wanted to show that chart because I know a lot of my subscribers are watching it pretty closely. This is the weekly chart for UNG. And again, the setup right now is just so bullish. I just am really liking it. You can see the PMO, the weekly PMO is giving us the buy signal. You have the double bottom that also is in a positive divergence with the OBV. And now you can see that the RSI on the weekly chart is about ready to make its move into positive territory. So still like natural gas, it hasn't really taken off yet, but it's just primed. I mean, what can you say? The chart, those are the technicals you are always looking for on these charts, and to see them lining up right now on UNG is very positive.
No, I just figured out that symbol, oil.
Yes.
Where did they come up with that?
Yeah, I know, right?
And I figured it out. There's a saying, now you're cooking with gas.
There you go.
True. It's got
Yep. All right. The next thing I was going to cover was some of the sectors. And honestly, I think the best thing to do right off the bat is to look at the candle glance for the sectors. Let me close this in a little bit here, just so we have them all on one page. And, this is such a great way to get the temperature of the market, to see where we're starting to see some of the strength arriving or positive momentum arriving. We saw that it's going on again in consumer staples, with the momentum is shifting upward. But there are a couple of problems with staples. I don't trust it. We had the fake out here on that turn with momentum on that breakout. And right now it looks a lot like an island. So I'm not really that favorable as far as staples. I don't think it's that favorable. Materials is where I've really been concentrating on. We have the nice move here on the PMO that is shifting upward. You're breaking a declining trend as it comes up, you can see. So I think that really when I was looking at these on Friday, materials really stuck out to me as a place to look for this week. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull it up on our sector chart. And there we are. So I saw it on there and I wanted to see what was going on. So we're going to look at this one in more detail, and then I'm going to switch to staples so you can see the differences in that setup, because it had a very similar PMO moving up to the top here. Materials, we've got that breakout, like I said, from the declining trend. It's now made it above the 20-day EMA on Friday, and now it's traded completely above that with a little gap up. When we look under the hood at the components of XLB, we can see some really great improvement. And, you've got a lot of them with their price now getting above their 20 and 50-day EMAs, which is great. They're not overbought. These are readings that can certainly support higher prices for XLB. You can see in the very long term, the Golden Cross Index. This is a measurement of how many of those components of materials have their 50-day EMA above their 200-day EMA. Well, just about all of them do. And while that is an overbought reading, it also speaks to the strength of those components. You know, we're starting to see that move with price moving above the 20, price moving above the 50. And we already know that those charts are set up favorably because their 50-day EMA is above their 200-day EMA. BPI, we haven't gotten it to actually turn, but you can see that it is trying to turn. The silver cross tells us that more of our components and materials are getting their 20-day EMAs set up above the 50-day EMAs, which puts them on intermediate term trend model buy signals. So you have about 2/3 of them on intermediate term trend model buy signals. So I think that materials underneath the surface is looking pretty good here.
Before you go,
Yes.
I'm concerned about the bullish percent, the BPI reading. If you follow this, which I do every day on all of these, the BPI normally turns first.
True.
Before the silver cross and before the 20 EMA. I mean, it really reacts fast, and it's that concerns me that it's not.
Totally can see that. You can see it turned early on this original, but now it flattened, turned down and flattened out.
It's not confirming. That's the thing.
Not yet.
Yeah, I should put a green dotted line on that this recent low.
Yes.
Which I will do just to.
All right. So let's look at staples really quick, and then I'm going to get into my diamond of the week. So staples, remember, we were seeing the same sort of action, this turn going on. Now the BPI certainly looks better on this chart, does it not? But you can see that we weren't really getting the participation yet in staples. I mean, it's not even as good as it was before on that original breakout over here. So I don't trust it. I suspect that if the market does make a turn for the worst, which, you know, we're definitely overdue for, that this might be a flight to safety kind of sector. But overall, I mean, energy as well still looks really healthy. There you go. The only issue with energy is you've got these overbought readings going on. But the RSI isn't quite overbought, and we are seeing a really nice rally back into that rising trend.
The indicators, well, some of them turned down today.
Yes.
One of them turned down, which is odd when it had such a strong, update.
Absolutely. So what this is telling us is that we actually saw components lose support at their 20-day EMA today, even despite a really nice move to the upside of over 4%. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And let's see, industrials was the other one I thought was starting to shape up with the PMO turning back up. And you can see very similar numbers underneath the surface, but the silver cross is topping below its signal line. And again, on a day when you had a nice rally, you really don't want to see the components losing intermediate term trend model buy signals, not what you want to see. But I think overall that sector is starting to wake up a little bit as well. I've been watching utilities, but it's just, utilities still just aren't doing much of anything. And you can see while we have some good support or participation in the intermediate to short term, we're just not getting any really good price movement or breakouts just yet. It's trying to give us a little cup shape here, but not quite to the breakout point.
It could be because there's potential for energy costs to go higher, their costs to go higher. So they're not as likely to be profitable.
There you are. All righty. Okay, well, let's go ahead and start looking at the diamond of the week. I'm actually going to take you back over here. Materials, like I said, is the sector I'm really watching right now. I think that looks pretty good. So when I went to the sector summary here, you can click on materials. And then this gives you all of the industry groups within materials. I like to sort by the StockCharts technical rank, because that tells me there's internal strength as well as relative strength. And you can see the ones that have been leading here are the non-ferrous metals and aluminum. Now, the wonderful thing is if you hold your cursor over top of the symbol, you can actually get a quick little line chart to give you an idea of what's going on. So non-ferrous metals, they've already been on quite a run. And it wasn't my first pick going into this week, mainly because it had, I don't know that it's run its course, but it had already really taken off quite a bit. Aluminum was where I was finding some interest. Because we were just starting to see it turn to the upside. Today it's up over 4%, so that turned out to be a pretty good call there. And steel is the other one that I'm finding very breaking out of a declining trend, but we're also starting to see it now rise up to overhead resistance, which is still, 4, 5, 6% away. And so I was looking at those two areas as an area, as the areas to consider for the diamond of the week. So let's now look at what the diamond of the week is. And I have it in my chart list. It's not that one. Here it is, Cleveland Cliffs. And this is steel. And this one is just starting to turn up after a really strong breakout. I talked about this one, I think, in my Diamond Mine on Friday. We were looking at it. I think it's set up very well with the materials section, that particular sector doing well. You've got that nice high StockCharts technical rank, possible flag type of formation with that breakout coming in. I think it's lined up very well at this point. And, what I'd like to see would be for the OBV to start making new highs with price making new highs. And, we want to see that positive volume continue to be coming in. But I think Cleveland Cliffs is looking pretty good right now as far as a diamond of the week. So this is the one that I presented during your Daily 5 this morning when I recorded it. It's also what I presented to my free DecisionPoint trading room participants. And I think this one looks like it's, set up pretty well. And I know somebody else had told me about FCX, which I think is also lining up pretty well. I'm just a bit concerned because we're now at that overhead resistance level for it. And, you need that breakout, but you've already had a lot of rally going on. So I think FCX, while it looks good, and the PMO is turned up and we don't even have the buy signal just yet, I think that is good, but it has run a lot of that rally. So you need to see it break out above overhead resistance here. If it starts to pull back, then of course we might be setting up for a double top. But right now, I think that this chart also is looking pretty instructive. All right, well, we have just about a minute left. Are there any charts that you really think people should be looking at right now?
Not offhand.
Not offhand. Here's the aluminum index. And this was the one I presented on Friday to my Diamond subscribers. So we were just looking at it hitting overhead resistance. And I was looking for the breakout. We're getting the breakout. So again, I think that looks like a pretty good area. And then again, here is the steel index, the industry group. And again, nice breakout. You can see all of these EMAs lining up. The 20 didn't even have to cross below the 50. Nice move on the PMO turning to the upside. So steel and aluminum are the areas I'm watching, at least in the materials section. And my Diamond subscribers, let's see what comes up on the list tomorrow. That's all we have. I'd like to wish everybody happy trading and a good rest of the week.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.